Danny O'Neal got injured during the game, and on his way to the hospital, he lost consciousness. Doctors have stated that his condition is very serious, and it could take years for him to fully recover. So, stay tuned with us until the end of the video for all the details. But before we continue, we have a small request. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be the first to get every update. Now, let's move forward in the video. San Diego State called heads on the coin toss before Friday night's Mountain West game at Boise State. Things got worse from there for the Aztecs. SDSU came into the game bent on stopping Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, the nation's leading rusher, but it was quarterback Madsen who resembled the Heisman Trophy favorite. Madsen threw 4 first-half touchdown passes, 3 of them to wide receiver Latrell Caples, while completing 24 of 32 passes for 307 yards. The 15th-ranked Broncos also intercepted SDSU quarterback Danny O'Neal twice in 3 passes in the first quarter, returning one of them for a touchdown, on the way to a 56-24 victory before a sellout crowd of 36,838 at Boise State's Albertson Stadium. Boise State, 7-1, 4-0 MW, was a 23.5-point favorite coming into the game against the Aztecs. 3-5, 2-1. The Broncos had a 28-0 lead 3.5 minutes into the second quarter. Anytime that you spot a really good football team those kinds of points early, you're putting yourself in a pretty significant hole that is going to be very hard to overcome, SDSU coach Sean Lewis said in a post-game interview with San Diego Sports 760. They're a very complete team that have a lot of offensive weapons that stress you out in a lot of ways. Obviously, going into it, you know who the main workhorse, Jeanty, is what warrants all kinds of attention. Then, obviously, you've got to do a great job in the throw game. We've got to do a better job of putting our kids in the best position to be successful. Madsen threw 18 and 19-yard touchdown passes to Caples on the Broncos' first 2 drives. The Broncos made it 21-0 with 1:31 remaining in the opening period when cornerback Amarian McCoy stepped in front of an O'Neal pass intended for Lewis Brown IV and didn't stop until he reached the end zone 35 yards later. O'Neal, 14 for 30, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, who began his career this season by throwing 127 passes without an interception, was picked off again 2 passes later. Boise State turned the second turnover into a 14-yard touchdown pass from Madsen to wide receiver Prince Stricken that made it 28-0. SDSU finally got something going in the second quarter with a 27-yard field goal by Gabriel Plasencia and a 6-yard touchdown run by Marquez Cooper that made it 28-10. Cooper, 15 carries, 94 yards, set up the score with a 42-yard run that represented the game's longest play from scrimmage. SDSU's hopes for a comeback were dismissed with 22 seconds remaining in the second quarter when Madsen and Caples connected for a 14-yard score that provided the Broncos with a 35-10 halftime lead. Jeanty, averaging 196.6 rushing yards a game, was limited to 37 yards on 15 carries in the first half. He looked pained on several occasions while playing with a brace on his left elbow, which was injured last week against UNLV. Jeanty persevered, perhaps to boost the statistics in his Heisman campaign. He carried 6 times on the opening drive of the second half, reaching the end zone on a 4-yard run that provided Boise State with a 42-10 lead with 10 minutes remaining in the third quarter.